in the blue shimmer of the Mediterranean Sea. Long before Rome's rise or Greece's glory, there stood an empire of seafarers, Carthage, a city born from legend, built on trade, and destined for conflict. To understand Carthage, we must sail back further into the mists of time where the Phoenicians ruled the waves. They came not as conquerors, but as merchants, explorers, and master shipbuilders. The Phoenicians hailed from the Levant, Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos, modern-day Lebanon. These were not empires of land, but of sea routes and markets of dyes, timber and glass. Their purple dye, extracted from the murex shell, was worth more than gold. And it was this dye that gave rise to their Greek name, Phoenix, or the Purple People. As Egyptian power declined and the Bronze Age collapsed, the Phoenicians expanded westward. They founded outposts, small colonies that grew into great cities. And among those, one would rise above all others, Carthage, meaning new city in Punic. To the world, would become known as Carthage. Legend says Carthage was founded by Queen Elizabeth, known as Dido, fleeing Tyre after her brother Pygmalion murdered her husband. She sailed west with her followers. Arriving at the coast of North Africa, Dido struck a deal with local Berber tribes. Could have as much land as could be covered by an oxhide. Cleverly, she cut the hide into thin strips and claimed a great hill-Byrsa. Whether myth or truth,
Carthage
was born in cunning, and that cleverness would define its character for centuries to come. And from this small foothold, it became the jewel of the Western Mediterranean, fueled by trade, protected by powerful walls, and guided by a merchant aristocracy. Carthaginian ships reached as far as Iberia, Sicily, and even the British Isles. They traded silver, tin, slaves, olive oil, and weapons. Unlike other ancient powers, Carthage built its empire not on armies, but on commerce. It was a capitalist powerhouse ruled by a senate of wealthy merchant families. Their gods, too, reflected their priorities: Bolhamon, the god of prosperity and time; Tanit, goddess of fertility and protection. But Carthage was not without controversy. Ancient sources, especially Greek and Roman, accused them of child sacrifice, rituals to appease the gods in times of war and hardship. Archaeologists have discovered Tophets, burial sites with urns of infant bones. Whether these were truly ritual sacrifices or child burials remains debated. Still, Carthage thrived. It became a naval superpower, controlling key islands: Corsica, Sardinia, parts of Sicily. But where empires expand, conflict follows. And Carthage's greatest enemy was rising in the Westrum. The two powers would clash in the most legendary series of ancient wars, the Punic Wars, the First Punic War began in 264 BCE over control of Sicily. It was a brutal, drawn-out conflict. Rome, a land power, had to build a navy from scratch. Carthage, masters of the sea, suffered defeats on land. Rome adapted, innovated, and persisted. In 241 BCE, Carthage was forced to surrender Sicily and pay heavy war indemnities. Humiliated but unbroken, Carthage turned its eyes to Spain. There, it would rebuild its fortunes and train a new generation of warriors. At the heart of this renewal was the Barcid family. Hamilcar Barca, a general of brilliance and fire, led the Carthaginian expansion into Iberia. His son, Hannibal, would become the most feared general of the ancient world. Raised in his father's war camps, Hannibal was taught to hate Rome. As a boy, he swore an oath of eternal enmity toward the Republic. In 218 BCE, Hannibal marched his armies across the Alps, a feat no one believed possible. With elephants, cavalry, and hardened troops, he entered Italy from the north. He delivered a string of devastating defeats. Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and Cannae, where over 50,000 Roman soldiers died in a single day. Hannibal never captured Rome. He lacked reinforcements and political will from Carthage's Senate. Rome, battered but not broken, regrouped. They took the war to Spain and eventually to Africa. In 202 BCE, at the Battle of Zama, Hannibal was defeated by the Roman general Scipio Africanus. Carthage's fate was sealed. They surrendered again, this time losing their overseas empire and their military might. But Carthage recovered. For 50 more years, it rebuilt as a peaceful trading hub. However, would not forget. Senators like Cato the Elder ended every speech with the same chilling phrase: Carthago delinda est. Carthage must be destroyed. In 149 BCE, Rome declared war once more, the Third Punic War. Carthage, forced to defend itself, resisted fiercely. The city held out for 3 years. Its defenders turned every street into a battleground, every house into a fortress. But in 146 BCE, Roman legions breached the walls. It followed with slaughter, fire, and utter destruction. Carthage was razed to the ground. People were killed or sold into slavery. Its libraries and temples burned. According to legend, the Romans salted the earth so nothing would grow again. But this is likely a myth. What mattered was the message. Carthage was no more. Carthage would rise again, be built by the Romans as a colony under Augustus. It became one of the empire's richest cities in North Africa. Centuries later, it was a center of early Christianity. Augustine of Hippo would walk its streets, debate in its forums. Then came the Arab conquests, and Carthage fell. Once more its stones scattered, buried beneath centuries of dust. But it was never forgotten. Its memory haunted the Romans, inspired poets, and drove archaeologists to dig through time. Today, the ruins of Carthage stand in modern-day Tunisia. The sea still laps at its ancient harbors. The wind whispers through broken columns. We walk those ruins and feel echoes of a world long gone, a world of merchants and warriors, gods and sacrifices, glory and fire. Carthage was not just a city, it was an idea. That trade could build empires, courage could cross mountains, that history never truly dies. Of its enemies wrote its fall, but we, today, write its memory. From the purple sails of Tyre to the burning walls of Carthage, the Phoenician legacy endures. And so we ask not only what was lost, but what survives. The empire of Carthage may have crumbled, but its echoes remain etched in stone, carved in story, whispered across the sea.